Hey guys, what's up? This is Aiden Paladin, obviously not on my normal channel. This is my second account because, well, if any of you were there, hey, Layman already, by the way. I did a Halloween stream where I played a bunch of clips from Asian horror films, none of them over 3 minutes, like 3 minutes was the most, and I put a big color filter over them, so there was absolutely, I think it does count under fair use because I was also making commentary and criticism. No, fuck you, Dr. Layman. God damn it. You can't even start a fucking stream without being distracted by Layman. No, Babylon Prevails is inferior, get over it. Okay, so basically, yeah, I got a copyright strike on my main channel, which, by a Thai company that I tried to call, yesterday or the day before, and they said, well, they responded and they spoke English, so I called Bangkok, and they did respond and spoke English, but they told me, email us. So I emailed them through every single email that they have listed on their website. However, none of them work. So...
yeah, it's fucked.
Right now, I'm trying to just fight it like the normal way. I'm really hoping that they'll just retract it, because here's the interesting thing. The video had already been copyrighted. It had been copyrighted by about 15 different companies. You know, because they all want their piece of the money. So that's like, okay, oh, there's a minute of my video, of this one video in here. Oh, I'm going to copyright the whole video and you know, monetize it for our company. So the video had already been restricted worldwide. Yes, I did intentionally misspell Volt. It's because it's the vault because I'm stuck in copyright hell.
Clever. That's a clever one.
Yeah,
I like that. Alcana Vault.
It's the vault because I'm fucking Get it? It's witty.
Nice.
Not really.
No, I like
This
that.
is as
That's
close to witty as I get. No, Layman, I'm not scared to get you on. What are you gonna debunk me on? We're gonna just talk about Trump. Do you want to be on, Layman? I don't even know how that would work since we're doing. I can't do it. You can't come at me like last minute like this and ask to be on the stream.
Oh, I think you'd have to do.
I'd have to go
Google
through Hangouts. It would be fucking way too difficult.
Yeah, we'd have to
Well,
restart.
Layman, let's do something then. You know, like fucking Nibba, hit me up. Like we can debate how Latana Volt is objectively better and totally not, you know, a ripoff of Babylon Prevails or anything. Fuck.
Yeah.
I keep getting distracted by the chat. Oh, so yeah, basically I'm just waiting to hear back to see if the Thai company wants to let it go. Because I said to them, I was like, look, I don't mind deleting the video. I knew it was going to get not monetized from the beginning. But the copyright strike is really bizarre. Considering the video had already been removed and nobody could watch it. This means that they found a video that was restricted and blocked worldwide and still filed a copyright strike on it.
Yeah,
the fuck?
That's dickish on their part.
I mean, I don't know. I know this company. And it's just weird to me that like a Thai horror film company would get so butthurt over it. If anything, that stream was really it was an advertisement for all their films.
Do anything other than fuck prostitutes if you lived in Thailand? Isn't that the kind of thing, or is that racist?
It's probably kind of racist, a little bit.
I thought they were famous.
A little bit. No, I mean it's true. They are famous for that.
But people from America would travel over there.
Well, that's why they don't speak English, I guess. Oh. They don't call it Bangkok for nothing. Fuck. Oh my god, this is you know, we've started out really on a.
Yeah, we're supposed to be talking about Donald Trump.
Yeah, that is the topic. It is not
your God Emperor.
It is not how Babylon Prevails is inferior, although that is demonstrably truth.
I don't know what that is, so I'll take your word
really?
for it. Yeah.
That's like Layman's catchphrase thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, he doesn't even know it. Therefore, clearly one is superior. All right, so what we're here today,
I'm not biased at all.
You're not.
There's nothing that could be done to me that would make me biased.
No, you're extremely objective when it comes to, all of this. Okay, so really, so on November 8th, we were preparing to do this stream. I log into YouTube and find out I've got this copyright strike. Well, my email, I was like, oh, fuck. So I thought maybe it would have been resolved by now. It's not.
3 months, unless they resolve it.
Right.
She gets a 3-month ban.
Right. I need to make that clear, guys. If this doesn't go, if they don't resolve this with me, and I think you have to be a real piece of shit. I mean, no offense, but come on, guys. What? I'll just delete the video. Also, I don't care. So if it doesn't get resolved and they don't retract the copyright strike, it will be 3 months. That's February until I can stream again on the main channel, which is why this is the vault, because it's, yeah, I'm locked out of streaming.
Hitler's in the chat.
Oh, hey Hitler, what's up? Also, I can't get super chats. If you look, however, below, there is a Streamlabs thing, and your Streamlabs will show up on the screen. I will try to address them. If I miss them, just tell me I've got Streamlabs up, and I will try to read them. Anyway, yeah, the whole point of this stream was on November 8th. It was the 1-year anniversary of the glorious God Emperor Donald J. Trump's election as the 45th President of the United States. Fuck yeah. Election night was the most... you know how sad it's going to sound. This is going to sound really pathetic. But that was the most... I think that was the most hype and just the most fun night that I can remember of my entire life. Not like my 21st birthday. Not, I don't know, don't mean to sound like a DM on Twitter regarding a question I had. Buckman21, thank you. No, I might not have gotten that. I get confused by it because, like, if I don't follow someone back, it gets put in this pending thing, and then I forget to check that. Sorry, I'll look. But thank you. No, I've lost my train of thought again. Oh!
Talk about election night.
Election night was awesome. I was talking to a bunch of poll people on a Discord. And I mean, there were like 400, 500 people on this Discord. And it was just, that was the most fun night I can remember. Of getting drunk and singing like the Battle Hymn of the Republic with a bunch of poll tards. It was great. Yeah, okay, Layman, let's go. A square go like. Anyway, that was awesome. So I really wanted to sort of celebrate the year since the election on the 8th, and then also Hard Bastard and I have very different reasons, despite the fact that we both voted for Donald Trump. We have different reasons for voting for him, and different, I don't know if it's opinions in general, but different outlooks on him.
Yeah.
So I think, as usual, this would be, this would be a good time to sort of, we'll give a, it's not quite his first year in office, since he wasn't in office until January 20th. But yeah.
Enough time has passed, I think, to give a good report card.
Right. So this is the report card for Trump's first year. Now, there are so many things to talk about over, even though it's been 9 months, not a full year.
Yeah.
There's a fucking lot to talk about. Mm-hmm. So I've pulled up a couple articles. You can see this Newsweek article with a great, as always, great freeze frame on Trump's face. Just, he's looking particularly red there, too. Not flattering. Anyway, just to kind of keep us in line, because otherwise I think it's too much to tackle. Oh, maybe what we should start with is Pence's. So sure. Pence to USA Today had a few things to say about Trump's first year. So this was posted, I think, on the 8th? Yeah, so this is pretty new. Again, I found mainstream media articles, I do have a Breitbart article about how Breitbart was mad at him, but just to show they're not completely Trump dick suckers either. Oh, let's, before we get into it, we should state our biases and outlooks on Trump.
Okay, well, I was never a Trump supporter or a Trump fan. I voted him solely because I thought Hillary Clinton was going to, based on her own words, put a no-fly zone in Syria, which, based on the testimony of General, I think his name was Munford, that could be wrong, so don't quote me on the name, but that you would have had to go to war with Russia if you were going to do that. Then, of course, all the things with the WikiLeaks and whatnot. So my decision to vote against her was I wanted to do what I felt gave her the best chance to not win. And so I didn't go third party because I thought that voting Trump would give the best percentage of her. It was the best chance of her to lose. I was surprised she lost. I did think there was a very good chance that people like Sticks and Mitchell, I think Bill Mitchell, is that his name? I thought that when they talked about the hidden Trump vote, I did think there was something to that, and they turned out to be completely right.
There's every social psychological reason for it, too.
So I'm gonna basically have like two ways that I judge Trump based on a metric of what I think his supporters and what he promised in his campaign, and then what I personally look for in a president, which is completely different than all these things, because I really don't. I have a much different like standard that I would judge Trump on. So
yeah, I was a little bit different. The first time I ever got into politics was 2008, and I was hardcore Ron Paul bitch. I loved Ron Paul, and I was behind him 100%. I wrote his name in, even though he obviously didn't get the Republican nomination. I still wrote his name in. My dad met Dr. Paul and told him, and he was apparently very appreciative, which makes me very happy inside. But once Obama was elected, I really lost a lot of interest in politics. I was very fired up. Yeah, I made you a moderator, Layman. I think that's I can't debate you right now, dude. My dude. But anyway, I voted for Gary Johnson, Dude, Weed, Lamau, What is Aleppo Man, in 2012 when he seemed less crazy. And, yeah, and basically I felt very despondent after 8 years of... I'm sorry. Fucking hey, why did I do that? I felt very despondent and depressed after 8 years under Obama, and I was like, well, I can't do anything. I just felt kind of hopeless about politics. And yeah, really what happened was, when it started up in 2016, I just said, I don't fucking know. I remember when Ted Cruz announced that he was running, I was like, oh, fuck this guy, God damn it. I'll revoke that mod shit real quick, dude. Use your powers wisely. With great power comes great responsibility, my dude. Anyway, and then Trump just, seemingly on a dare from Obama said, you know what? Fuck you, motherfuckers. I'm gonna run for president too. And my immediate response was, this is the funniest shit I have ever seen. So I immediately liked it because I'm all about the memes. I sincerely originally got on the Trump train just because I thought it was funny. And I don't think I'm alone. I think there are a lot of people who were just like, we were despondent, we were depressed, we were so unhappy and unsatisfied after 8 years of Obama. We're like, how could it possibly be worse? Yeah. And why not just, crash this plane with no survivors? That was kind of my initial draw to Trump. However, I also really liked the things he said. One, I liked his patriotism, and I liked his focus on nationalism. So I was very big into that. I've always, since Ron Paul, of course, been an isolationist. I can't debate you, Layman. What the fuck do you want? Later, fucking DM me, dude. So, I liked his policy on immigration. I liked his, many of his policies, particularly that, in that get out of these wars. Now, he hasn't done a good job on that, and we can talk about that but to really deal with ISIS, for example. But for me, mostly, it was the focus on jobs, the focus on American jobs, the focus on getting rid of things like NAFTA and TPP, or at least reforming NAFTA. We can debate that. Getting rid of Obamacare and or repealing and replacing, and dealing with border security and immigration issues. These are I did support Trump on a lot of the things. Not everything. Layman, fucking...
Look at all these people getting banned.
Layman, if you fucking keep doing this, I told you, stop dabbing on the chat, man. He comes in here and fucking ruins it. I mean, I am responsible, but we'll see. So I'm the one with great power and responsibility, and I've used it clearly unwisely. Anyway, so with that being said, I was a Trump cheerleader, I guess. I was very much pro-Trump. You were Trump out of necessity, or
it was both necessity. It was also it's fascinating because in the beginning, I would see the Trump surrogates go on CNN, and I would think look at these fucking people trying to defend his very non-PC behavior in this PC environment, and they would put themselves through contortions trying to defend him. And at first I was like, these people are liars. But then the media got so ridiculous with the narratives with Trump that it completely reversed it. And by the end, right before Election Day, people who were the Trump surrogates, when you compared what they had to say to the bullshit that the media had to try to come up with in desperation to try to stop Trump, the dynamic completely shifted. And like I said, the WikiLeaks was such a huge game changer when it came to exposing what kind of corrupt politician Hillary Clinton was. But it was mostly an anti-Clinton vote, at least when it comes to me.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I mentioned really quickly, too, about how there was the hidden Trump vote, basically when there's all kinds of reasons why when your beliefs are considered not socially acceptable, they're basically antisocial or not socially desirable.
Yeah.
Social desirability effect is a whole issue in psychology. You tend to not express those out of fear of repercussion. The interesting thing is that there are some data that indicate that when you keep that shit inside and hide it out of fear of repercussion, it actually emboldens your beliefs. So the people who kept their pro-Trump support and their pro-Trump thoughts and feelings inside and didn't mention them became more and more hardline Trump supporters, potentially. Anyway, let's get into
This Pence.
Pence. That we can, I don't know. You're good at reading articles.
Sure,
Do you want to read it?
Yeah. What are we doing? The whole
So
deal?
do you want to do? I mean, it's not. How long is it?
Yeah,
It's not that
it's
long.
fine. And
Let's
then
do
like
this
you
one.
could just
Yeah.
start talking
We'll just
when you want to
yeah.
point. Okay. With President Trump's leadership, we will make America great again. Opposing view. 1 year ago Wednesday, President Donald J. Trump won a historic victory. But even more historic has been President Trump's record of accomplishment ever since. It's been a year of action, it's been a year of results, and it's been a year that will be remembered as the time we began to make America great again. Thanks to the president's leadership, the American economy is roaring. Businesses have created nearly 1.5 million new jobs. Manufacturers haven't been this confident in 20 years. The stock market is setting records, creating nearly $5 trillion in wealth for the pension, retirement, and savings of the American people. And after 8 years of lackluster growth, the economy has already expanded by at least 3% for 2 quarters in a row.
I think we should stop for this
Sure.
because I have these other articles, and I think that Pence talking about this is the only one from these major news outlets that actually addresses the economy.
Yeah.
Which is extremely fucking important because jobs and the economy was a big thing that was a major motivator for Trump supporters. Yeah. I believe Obama's administration was the only time in recent memory where there was less than 2% growth of the economy.
I put I'm not saying I personally don't care about this. I do. But this is what I would give him a high mark in regards to what he ran for. So this would be something I would consider Trump voters and Trump supporters. This would be a major win for Trump in his first year. It's not necessarily on my list, although I guess you could argue it probably should be.
It should be on everybody's
list. Is like I just don't think I think I need to do a personal list just for the sake of it. But this, what he's talking about here, I would definitely put high marks for the list of either what would make a good president, if you're looking at the metric of if a president is keeping his campaign promises. I think this is definitely at the top of the list.
I'm gonna pull it. Oh, I can't do this. Were there Streamlabs? Okay. I mean, how do I? Oh, just the dashboard. That's from the other day.
Click
oh,
the,
okay.
right there.
My donation. Sorry, guys. I'm
There you
fucking stupid. I did it for the meme. The majority of Trump voters post-election. A little bit. Ew. What just happened?
That's browser rape.
Oh.
Browser rape. Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not used to the setup. Whatever. It. Hey, it looked like it actually worked out well. For my benefit. Yeah. Thank you. Lehman, I said DM me, hit me up in the slide into my DMs, my dude. The other thing, though, yeah, is that the economy going up. This was major. The 3%. It was, I believe, if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, that under the Obama administration was the first time, really, in recent memory, that the economy had not grown to at least 2% under a president. So under any specific president. And also another thing is that the stock market, I've seen in under some estimates is the best that it's been in
since Kennedy, I think.
Yeah, in at least half a century.
Yeah.
So, you can say, like, I know maybe it's not a big deal to you, but it should be a big deal to all Americans. I think this is, at least this is a thing. I think we both say so far for 9 months, this is really good. Yeah. This is an A+, I think, on Trump's part. Now, of course, we should address the opposing argument that this is Obama, right? That it just took 8 years for him to finally get the economy back on track, and of course it didn't happen until after he was out of office. But then all of a sudden, it suddenly started. I mean, I think working.
The first quarter of the jobs report, I think you can argue, you can make that on, right? But I look, if they didn't undersell Trump so much, I would give more credence to this argument.
Right.
But they won't even give him credit for basic shit. I mean, they even claimed that the reason that Trump has nothing to do with any of the benefits of the border security, and that was all Obama. I mean, so take it with a grain of salt. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there was some of that shit that Obama faced as well, coming out of Bush.
Sure.
I saw that as well. I think that always happens where the incumbent both is blamed sometimes and it avoids any laudable sort of praises that they might get otherwise, as it becomes the onus is laid upon the predecessor. Mm-hmm. So that's not new. Anyway, let's continue. Pence, I guess. Ooh, hang on. It starts here.
The U.S. economy is making a comeback because President Trump has taken decisive action to spur a new era of opportunity, prosperity, and growth. We've unleashed American energy, approved the Keystone and Dakota pipelines, and under President Trump, the war on coal is over. We're appointing originalists of the federal court to uphold the Constitution and all our God-given liberties, and President Trump put Justice Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court. President Trump has also taken decisive action to ensure the safety and security of the American people at home and abroad. He has stood without apology with the men and women of law enforcement. We're securing our borders, enforcing our laws, and taking the gang members, drug dealers, and violent criminals off our street. The president is putting our veterans first. He signed bills to restore accountability to the Department of Veterans Affairs and give veterans access to the world-class care they deserve. We're rebuilding our military. President Trump has already signed the largest increase in defense spending in nearly 10 years, and we're working with Congress to pass one of the largest investments in the national defense since the days of Ronald Reagan.
By the way, something I was never for. However, that was just a disagreement I always had with Trump. I think, I mean, that was part of, though, national defense is something that he was always seemingly for. What I don't like is that it seems like a waste of money to me, particularly when you're you did say all of this shit about being non-interventionist, getting us out of these pointless wars, and then why are we dumping more money into the military?
And the other thing is, like any president, I don't really, regardless of what your position on the military is, if you're not doing anything in regards to the wasteful spending in the military, then you're not addressing the problem. It's the same thing with healthcare. If you're not addressing tort reform, then you're not addressing the problem with the cost of, how much a hospital stay is and shit like that. So, this isn't. So I wouldn't. This is not something that I think is legit, that I would put on my list. I would actually probably grade him more of a negative since he hasn't addressed wasteful spending. And I also, based on, the bombing of this Syrian airfield, I would also give him low marks for that, for the Trump supporters as well.
Sure. Actually, do you want to talk about that now?
Sure, yeah.
So the bombing, now on one hand, you can say that we've made some significant improvements on fighting ISIS.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are definitely more on the ropes now than
Yeah.
they were before. And that's something that I am okay with when you have ISIS is, without question, a terrorist organization that is a threat to national security and to the country. So, yeah, it makes sense. It's the same reason why I'm really up in the air on the North Korea thing, because it's like, well, at some point, when can I not be non-interventionalist if we're being threatened with war?
Yeah.
You know, or threatened with significant harm and damage. At some point, or our allies, as Japan and South Korea absolutely are. So, yeah, I think that we've made a lot of headway on fighting ISIS, and that's a good thing. But the Syrian bombing, that seemed, and this is, we've talked about this, I think, a little bit, which is that Trump's a deal maker. A lot of the things that he's done that have pissed off his own base, I think, are part of them not really being able to understand that he has to make compromises. And that's why the fuck we elected him, is because this is the guy who wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. However, he has a propensity, and it's a major flaw, to be overly emotional and act out of emotion, particularly when it comes to his family.
Yeah.
Because he's very much a family man. So when Ivanka comes to him in tears saying, "Daddy, oh, the poor Syrian children," then he bombs them.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
It was a very stupid move.
Yeah.
I did not agree with that. I made a video about it. And I don't cover current events that often, as you guys know, mostly because it's too fast for me. I have to do scripted shit. I just can't. I can't keep up with it. Like, you do daily news, which, you know, so that's like your shit, is keeping up with current events. I try to keep up with them, but I can't do videos about it. That one I did, though, because I was really pissed. I was really pissed off at the Syrian bombing. That was not what I voted for. However, there hasn't been an excess of that precise thing.
I'm not anti-interventionalist. I am anti-interventionalist if it's for bullshit reasons. If you have legitimate reasons, I don't have a problem with it. I think the other major, I guess there's really been several military operations, but the one that I didn't have a problem with was the Moab bombing of ISIS.
Yeah, go ahead.
It didn't seem like there were any civilian casualties that I was aware of. It was a generally successful bombing, and bombing terrorists I'm generally for, so that was an instance that I had no issue with that I would give him good marks for that one. I don't think it evens out the Syrian bombing, but it's at least, it was a positive. I have that as a positive.
Yeah. No, I have no issues with the Moab bombing of ISIS. No, fuck them. They're terrorists. Fuck them. I don't. We already have the largest military on the planet, like larger than every other country combined, more or less. Yeah. So I have never been. I've actually always really requested major decreases in military spending. So, but this was not something that was ever designed to appease me. This was something to appease a different element of his base. Yeah. And with conservatives, you are often going to get more military spending. I just wish that. Again, I can't say I'm totally non-interventionalist when it comes to positions where the United States is legitimately threatened, such as the case with ISIS and North Korea. Yeah. Is this about it? There's just there's a little bit more. Okay.
With renewed American strength, the president is achieving real results on the international stage. Our NATO allies are contributing more to our common defense. ISIS is on the run, and its caliphate is crumbling. This president reaffirmed the credibility of American power when he enforced a red line against chemical weapons in Syria. He put Iran on notice and made it clear that we cannot certify the Iran nuclear deal, and our administration has brought unprecedented economic and diplomatic pressure to bear on North Korea. It has been a year of accomplishments, and we're just getting started. Before this year is out, we'll pass historic tax cuts for the American people. Hopefully. And with President Trump's leadership, I know we will make America great again. And again, this is from Mike Pence, right, the Vice President of the United States. He's obviously biased, of course.
You think Mike Taze the gays Pence is a little biased towards Trump? Maybe just a little. Yeah, I just thought that would be an interesting article to actually read, since that's Pence's.
Sure.
And I he went further into what we were just talking about Syria, which Syria and ISIS and the North Korea. On the military and the foreign relations stuff on that end, I'm not overwhelmingly happy. I'm not. It could be worse. He could have just been like, "Fuck it, we'll go to war with I don't know anybody," and have been and really jumped the gun. Well, first of all, he's not Hillary. There's not enough.
No, Hillary's a warmonger. She's going to find someone to go to war with.
Right. So we're not at war with anybody, which appears to be difficult for most presidents to fucking keep their hands off the trigger. Yeah. No, we're not. Right. And again, the whole thing. Well, one of the things I remember in 2008. When everyone was like, oh, we're finally going to get out of all these wars in the Middle East under Obama. No. That was one of his major things. And in 8 years, still doing that shit.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see a repeat of that. But I do understand that this 9 months is relatively short. And we still have not defeated ISIS, so...
Yeah.
Now, if we, quote, defeat ISIS, is it not a very real possibility that just a new fucking form of them will pop up?
Yeah. This is a whole different subject, but overall, I give him high marks for ISIS. That's one of the things that's more important, not more important to me, but that I put of high importance, and I do share that with his supporters, that I think that a lot of his supporters think Obama was weak on terrorists, and
yes.
Trump is not weak on terrorism, and I that I'm on board with.
Right.
Which is interesting, because even when I was more lefty, I always felt like you had to be hard on the terrorists. I was even like, I remember after 9/11, when there was like a shift towards really like being upset with radical jihadists, and then there started to be some pushback on the left, like, oh, you're being too hard. And I just remember, even when I was lefty, I'm like, no, we're not too hard. These people want to kill us. We should.
That was weird. That was a very weird shift, because like, you remember what's his name, the puppet guy, comedian.
Yeah,
he had to retire, I think, his jihadi or
the dead terrorist.
Dead terrorist puppet, because it became culturally insensitive. But in 2003, whenever he started that shit, that was no one had any issue. In fact, it was all the rage. It was in vogue because everyone was hard on terrorism, and then all of a sudden it became, oh, it's racist, boo. Well, fuck that. It's not racist to say fuck terrorism and try to defend the country when it is necessary. Again, I have some issues. Do we have to give a grade? So I'm saying A+ on the economy. On foreign relations, we can get more into it. We can keep talking. Yeah, Jeff Dunham, thank you. Dacklemore. How is he still around?
He's got a lot of money, Jeff Dunham.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's very successful.
He has a cook, or was it Food Network?
Yes,
I don't understand it all.
I remember I saw it. It was horrible.
Anyway, I don't know, but it's difficult. Like, on terrorism, I'd say A+. But in general, on foreign relations, I don't know. We can still talk about it, because we should maybe... Well, how do you feel about the North Korea shit? Some people were very upset that, like, he's too aggressive at North Korea. They're firing fucking rockets over Japan, for fuck's sake. I think he is not, maybe... I don't know what to do. The problem with North Korea is, if we fuck with them, 2 million, 5 million South Koreans die within a minute.
Yeah, there's several issues with that. I'm on a wait and see. I don't think Trump's done anything. I'm not going to blame Trump for the leader of North Korea being a lunatic.
Right.
Although there are people that think he's not crazy, and that's the persona he wants to give out. The other thing is that South Korea could end up doing something before the United States. Like, the United States does not decide what's going to be done over there. The people that actually live over there are going to decide. So overall, I think that you're eventually going to have to do something, because they're going to continue to develop their program.
Right.
And you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. So you're going to have to do something at some point.
Right. No, yeah, I agree. Well, what else? At some point, what are you going to fucking do? You can't just let... I mean, at some point, you can't just let Rocket Man fire fucking rockets over Japan, who is our ally.
Right.
You have to, and I hate seeing these fucking cucks in the mainstream media acting like, oh, he's being so aggressive. How dare he call Kim Jong-un Rocket Man and all this shit. Like, yeah, he's a little piece of shit. And where they have no concern for the Japanese or South Koreans, apparently. They just let them all fucking die because of a nut job.
And they also, I think it's like the narcissism of the American media that they it's like they are not even considering South Korea, that they might just do something. But overall, like I said, you have to do something at some point. And if you can, obviously, it would be better to do something with Japan and South Korea and China on board. But the idea that this is easy, that you are going to navigate your allyships, navigate China's relationship with North Korea, that this is just easy, and it's ridiculous. This is obviously a very complicated thing, but at some point, the bottom line is you're going to have to do something.
I'm going to read we have super chats, right? So we do have Streamlabs.
Streamlabs, yeah.
Sorry, guys, if I don't see them. It should pop up on the screen, but it's there. I've got like so many fucking windows up. It gets easy to miss them. Okay, thank you, Crazy Ace King. That whole article was sucking Trump's dick, for fuck's sake. I don't want to say anything was wrong because I don't know, but holy shit, he's on his knees. Yeah, he is. He's the vice president.
Like I said, it's an article from Pence. We have several articles here that are like different perspectives. So that was the pro-Trump perspective directly from Mike Pence.
By the way, it's one of the only ones you're going to find in the mainstream media. The fact that that was published in USA Today. I had to get fucking the vice president to say only nice things about Trump.
Yeah.
And of course he is. But the next one, I have $2 from fake Dr. Lehman, which is, "Hello, you magnificent bastards. Thank you for tuning in. Today we have something very special for you." Dabbing on the chat. I can't fucking do it. "And this noob streamer girl who isn't even close to as gay as me." Thank you, fake Dr. Lehman. Also, judge my impression. And dabbing back at you. All right. So speaking of which, should we... Okay. There's this Newsweek article. Yep. This is... election promises both broken and kept. So in that debate between Kyle Kulinski and Razor Fist, there was a question brought up of how do you determine how good a president is? How do you measure this? I mean, goodness is, of course, subjective.
Yeah.
But I think, and I agreed with Razor Fist on this, is that a very good measure is how many of their campaign promises did they uphold. Obama, one of his big things was Obamacare. That went through. So you can say at least he succeeded there, even if all the other shit totally went to piss.
And this is one of the reasons that I'm doing two separate grades here, is because, like, objectively, if he made a campaign promise that I don't care about or that I disagree with, but he fulfills it, he still, just because a person ideologically is opposed to a president's campaign promise, if he fulfills that promise, it's still him fulfilling his promise. Just because you're opposed to it doesn't suddenly change that.
Exactly. Because again, otherwise we're talking about, subjective shit. If you don't like Trump, that's fine. You don't have to like Trump.
Right.
But you have to look at why people fucking voted for him. And that is that you want him to fulfill his campaign promises. So, this is, again, Newsweek. So if you were Crazy Ace King, I believe, did not like that we read the Pence.
You might like this.
So you might like this one more. This is gonna be more balanced. So, repeal and replace Obamacare. All right. Should we really read this or just... This is their failures. So this first part is... Uh-oh. Okay.
I can go through real quick.
Promise is broken. If you want to go over it, we can. All right, read Newsweek's fucking take.
Okay. Repeal and replace... So, wait, this is under broken promises?
These are broken promises.
Okay.
They're broken.
Repeal and replace Obamacare. Trump has called Obamacare a disaster, repeatedly promising to fix his predecessor. Jesus fucking Christ, what is happening? What is happening here? Predecessor, signature, healthcare, and even pledging to repeal it on his first day in office. But by February, Trump was forced to admit it would be more difficult than he'd thought. Nobody knew healthcare could be so complicated, he said, when GOP lawmakers struggled to write a significant replacement. Senate Republicans still have not found a way to move forward on his promise. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
That's this is a valid criticism, but when you talk about this, to be fair, you also have to acknowledge the fact that it requires Congress as well.
Right.
So
this is such... I hate this.
I would give him like a C- or a D on his promise to repeal and replace Obamacare. I think Newsweek is arguing that this is a complete failure. I wouldn't argue it that far.
I'm so sorry. Layman, please stop distracting me. I'm trying to have a productive stream. I can't if you're shitting all over my chat. Anyway. Please don't sucker punch your cat on his ass and call him Frodo. Anyway.
That's not the worst he does to it.
I'm sure it's not.
He farts on it. It's abusive. It's animal abuse. Get PETA.
Okay, I hate that this keeps... And by the way, I believe it's also brought up in the Independent article, which is sort of just more of the same. I just have to for...
Oh, for the Obamacare?
The Independent article is almost identical. It's his achievements and failures, so we'll get into that more, but...
Sure.
Oh, geez.
So what was... The next on their list was build the wall?
Well, I just wanted to add real quick about the repeal and replace.
Sure.
You're correct. That when they blame Trump for that, like, oh, repeal and replace hasn't gone through, it's Trump's fault. Do you have any idea how this works? It's GOP cucks preventing it from happening. It's people like fucking McCain who give his thumbs down.
Right.
Fuck you, McCain.
Right.
Fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Now, I admit that apparently it seems like there were maybe some major issues with some of the proposed repeal and replace plans.
Yeah.
That's very true. However, I just don't think that repeal and replace... By the way, it's not broken. How many years did it take for Obamacare to go through?
I mean, if you want to argue that Trump sold how easy it would
absolutely.
be, that's fine.
Absolutely.
But it's very complicated. I didn't like the bill that came out. But ultimately,
Sure. I agree.
But it's a legitimate criticism. That's fine.
There's also, yeah, I would say it is a legitimate criticism. Just you have to put things in context. That this is not like Trump is just not doing it because he's lazy or something. Mm-hmm. This is not something that he can sign away with an executive order, you know, like it's not that simple. And you're right. Yeah. He probably oversold the ease at which it could be accomplished. I mean, it did take a whole term essentially for Obama to get the Obamacare Universal Affordable Care Act passed.
Yeah.
So, it would make sense that it would take a long time as well. So, I don't agree with Newsweek in terms of broken, as with any of these. Broken implies that it's...
Like it's over.
Over.
Yeah, it's not over.
Whatever. What we could debate linguistics and semantics. So, build the wall.
Build the wall. One of Trump's most famous early promises became a rallying cry for supporters on the campaign trail. But Trump hasn't advanced plans for a U.S.-Mexico border wall since signing an executive order directing money for construction. Isn't that advancing plans? I don't understand. That's a bit retarded, Newsweek. Budget negotiations...
Hey, but they were broke. It's a broken
Right,
promise.
right. Budget negotiations with Democrats have stalled his efforts, and DHS Secretary John Kelly admitted that it was unlikely that we will build a wall, a physical barrier, from sea to shining sea. Is this the only paragraph about the wall?
I think it is. Let me see. There's a picture here. That's
okay. Now, this is, I would argue, this is a complete bullshit take.
Right.
From what I understand, the funding is an issue. They haven't done that yet, but it's a complete contradiction to say they haven't advanced plans and then there was an executive order.
And they just put up the prototypes.
Yeah, so this is happening. Now this is, okay, so I don't give a fuck about the wall. I give a fuck about border security and enforcing the laws. So if he wants to put a wall up or increase the wall, that's fine. I don't give a shit about that. His supporters, I think a lot of them want the wall as a symbolic thing, I guess.
Yes, the wall is on many levels symbolic. What they want is, and I want to get into this Breitbart article because it brings up some things that don't get talked about a lot, because the fucking MSM, these fuckers, would rather basically, I'm not saying outright lie, but really obfuscate or twist the truth in terms of what's happening with the wall by saying it's a broken promise, then get at things that are actual issues that have happened. And I think the Breitbart article is going to be excellent for that, to get more into, well, there are problems, and they're not the ones that you're bringing up because you're too busy with this Russia shit to have any fucking clue what's actually happening within the Trump administration. The wall, however, for most of us, it was about border security. First and foremost, the wall was a symbol. It was a rallying cry, more than it was a physical manifestation of anything else. So, but they're fucking doing it. Yeah. And Mexico will pay for it one way or another. They'll pay for it in sanctions.
Like this is the thing with the media will also say, oh, Mexico's not going to pay for it. The United States has Mexico over a barrel in several ways, and first of all, you could go to Trump's site. I think it's still there, and he lists the options that you could enforce. And if you wanted to, you can. So I will give Trump a major failing mark if in the end Mexico doesn't pay for it, because there's no excuse to not have Mexico pay for it, because you have Mexico fucked in the ass.
Right.
So they have no choice. Now, you can argue diplomatically that might not be nice to say to a company, or excuse me, a country. Well, we have you.
It's racist.
We have you over a barrel, and we're going to extract
You're being extremely racist
our
right now.
pound of flesh. But he can do it, and I think it was a promise, and he should do it. But overall, so yeah, under this, I would say this is happening. I don't give a fuck how long it takes, because there are other things that have happened with border security that I give him high marks for. So if there are people that literally want a wall and want it immediately, if those Trump supporters, they
You're
might
being
not,
unrealistic,
right?
too.
They might not like this, but I put this in border security and as a package, and I give him very high marks for that on both my list and on his Trump supporter
I think he's
list.
doing the best, and some of these things he's been stonewalled.
Yeah.
We talk about border security too, like the travel ban.
Yeah.
We're not the Muslim ban.
Right.
It's not, but whatever. That's so, isn't that fucked up and making like really huge. This whole thing has always pissed me off. Like, oh, you're saying only Muslims live in this country?
Right. Okay,
that's
so
weird.
let's talk about that. I didn't have a problem with the initial challenge, because I didn't like that they tried to take away green cards and visas that were already issued. I think that's fucked up.
It is.
The remainder of the challenges are bullshit.
Yep.
And one of the main arguments from the judge is that apparently because one time, even though it's evolved, because yes, Donald Trump did say that he wanted to ban Muslims from coming into the country. That evolved. And if you actually look into this incarnation of the travel ban, most of the countries, except for, now I think Syria,
Chad's on it now.
the first and second one, I think Trump added Syria to a list that Obama came up with.
Right.
So they lied about that and said it was Trump's business interests, which it wasn't. That was complete bullshit. I think the most latest one actually includes North Korea.
Does
and Chad.
Yeah.
And so, but they'll still call it a Muslim ban, but apparently...
Didn't you know that North Korea is a Muslim...
Tell all the Muslims in North Korea that they're going to have
country.
extra scrutiny coming over.
I know. So, yeah, it's bullshit. And that's not... Again, this is not his fault. I agree. The first version of this was fucked.
Yeah.
But it didn't pass. But it's now going back to the Supreme Court now?
I think the Supreme Court has, some of it is good, and the remainder is up in the air. I thought they were supposed to resolve it in October.
Yeah, but
I think
there
it's
was
still
another,
being...
the cucks in, what is it, Hawaii and Maine?
Yeah.
Are still fighting it, so whatever.
I
think overall, though, Trump's doing the best he can. He is, like, I'm not Ann Coulter and be like, progress made on the wall to date, 0 feet.
Yeah,
Fuck you.
She's being ridiculous.
And I like Ann Coulter, and I know that's a little bit of an unpopular thing to say, but I've been reading Ann Coulter's books since I was 16, so judge me for that as you like.
It's not like or dislike with Ann Coulter. I just don't believe her. I don't believe she's real.
I think she is real. I think she is real. I do, and that's, we've disagreed about that.
Or if she's real, she purposely says shit to trigger people.
No, absolutely. She's
she
a
doesn't
shit
believe
stirrer.
that.
She is a shit stirrer without question. She's a shit stirrer. That's what the fuck she does. Anyway, so I think Trump's done the best job he can do in terms of
this
border
is border
security,
and I think he's done great.
Do you want to give him a grade on border security?
I'd give him an A on border security.
We have to talk about DACA, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
I don't know if that's really
is that in the?
That's going to be in the Breitbart one for sure.
Okay, sure. We'll wait for the Breitbart one. But so far, it's an A.
So far, I would say A on that. So this is so dumb. And by the way, this is also in the Independent article on the locker up thing. They both include this as failures or broken promises. Dude, Trump walked this back immediately.
Like, we really need to. I'll tell you this. Monday, I think we'll know a lot more about this, depending on who those indictments are for. If they're for, I believe there's either anywhere from 30 to 300. It's probably 30. 300 sounds amazing. If they're Clinton people, then Newsweek has dropped their load way too early.
Don't even bother reading this. The independent article says the exact same
we
shit.
talked about the Muslim ban.
Yeah, okay, so we've done both of these. But look, Lock Her Up was, again, it was like the wall. It was more symbolic than it was anything else. People know at this point, at large, that the Clintons are crooks. Mm-hmm. The Clintons have very much abused their positions of power.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be a total, tinfoil hatter, but, well, if you cross the Clintons, it sure does seem like you have a little bit of a higher propensity or a likelihood to end up in a tragic gardening accident or something. Fuck.
Yeah, that's
Layman,
true.
you said
It's
fucking
true.
earlier that I have never once said to you that mixed methodology is not superior to quantitative methods alone. We've had this exact conversation that mixed methods are... I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm getting hard, so go ahead.
You don't know anything about social science. That's okay.
I know.
So what do you want me to recode? Okay, what? Okay, 1 = 0, 2 = 1. Okay, then what? Then 2. Okay, what the fuck do you want?
That's an interesting scientific calculation because it looks like it spells the word gay.
Yeah, what fucking A? Fight. You know what we'll do? Here's what we'll do. I'll give you a data set, and let's just run it through SPSS, and we'll see who can. I don't know. What do we want to do? What kind of what's a type? What's your favorite analysis? I think. Well, you like your mixed methods. What do you like? Shit. What's the one you always talk about? Whatever. Why don't you have to do a fucking log linear regression? That's my favorite analysis. Shit. See, this is why we're not supposed... It's like, dude, okay, whenever Layman and I are in the same place at the same time, it's Ghostbusters shit, okay? It's like, you're not supposed to cross these streams. It doesn't end up correct.
You're crossing streams.
Oh, fuck. Okay. All right. We talked about the Muslim ban. I'm
Tax
fine
cuts.
with that. Let's go move on to tax cuts.
Trump promised a tax plan that would prioritize both individuals and companies, saying everybody is getting a tax cut, especially the middle class. But his attempt at a new plan appears to favor only the wealthiest Americans and does not guarantee cuts for all. That's an outright lie. That's an outright lie by Newsweek. Now, you can argue that the middle class tax cuts are questionable, but
Trump has said his
working class are absolute, and any sort of tax reform is going to benefit wealthy people regardless. That's a complete bullshit answer.
We could talk a little bit more about it. What Trump has said about it. Now, first of all, by the way, we don't know fucking anything about this tax bill.
No.
There's no... It's one page. It is one page. As far as I understand, at this point, it's still one fucking page. Mm-hmm. So we don't know shit. Okay? So we don't know shit about it. And then also, Trump, at least what he said, is that it would... His lawyer or his someone in charge of his finances said this would destroy you if you did this to yourself. Like, this is... So, now... There is the fact that Trump's basically saying that for all of the shit that's going to happen to the wealthiest people as in response or as a result of this tax bill, that he is wanting to include the removal of the estate tax, which is also like a death tax, essentially. So if you've got a lot of money, you have to pay a lot of money. Now, this is, again, the art of the deal guy. So he's saying, I'm going to give this one thing to the wealthiest Americans so that they don't fucking shit their pants in rage. Mm-hmm. And I think that's fine. I mean, if you're going to, change the... and I've heard speculated, but I don't have a specific source on this, that what this might do, the particular way he might be working this, would be that certain blue states would end up... The wealthiest people in the most blue states would end up paying more. And I think... I don't have a source on that, though. Mm-hmm.
What's next?
Okay, we do a multiple regression analysis. How about that? Sorry. All right, minimize... Okay, are we still in? Okay, this is still broken promises.
Minimize government waste, take no vacation days. On the campaign trail, Trump said
someone on this
he would not take off if he was elected president, claiming he would rarely leave the White House because of all the work to be done. He criticized Obama for spending too much time on the golf course, calling his work ethic into question. But Trump himself has spent 73 days at golf clubs, costing an estimated $77 million in taxpayer funds. His family has also racked up quite a tab. Every business trip and move between New York and Washington charges taxpayers for Secret Service protection and Air Force costs. So really quickly, this last point is complete bullshit.
Right.
Because you have to do that with families regardless. So there is not,
off,
you
man.
can't get rid of your goddamn protection. So that's ridiculous.
I mean, like, you could argue that maybe he needs more because he's way more hated. But, I don't know. Also, if you have a problem with regressions, why don't you perform a multiple analysis of variance for me? How about that? I do have a point, though, about the waste. So, this was a letter, so I can't verify all of this, but I would say this is what this says. I don't have this up on the screen, because it was something that, I don't know how true all this is, but I think I'd have to fact check me on this if it's not correct. This was a letter to the Kokomo Tribune, so I'm not sure how honest it is.
Good.
However, okay. This was on Friday. This was in October 27th. The Trump administration released their annual report to Congress on White House office personnel. It includes the name, status, salary, and position title of all 377 White House employees. The report also said that Trump decided not to take a dime of his salary. We knew that from the beginning. So if you're talking about waste, oh, well, he goes to the fucking golf course, but he doesn't get paid anything, all right? Now, he doesn't need to be paid. He's a fucking billionaire. Instead, he donated it. He did actually donate it. He donated it to the Department of the Interior, where it is being used for the construction and repair needs at military cemeteries. The report also showed that President Trump is better at saving money than Obama was. The total annual White House salaries under Trump are $35.8 million versus the $40.9 million under Obama, a savings of $5.1 million. There are 110 fewer employees on White House staff under Trump than under Obama at this point in their respective presidencies. 19 fewer staffers are dedicated to the First Lady. Currently, there are 5 staffers dedicated to Melania versus the 24 staffers who served Michelle Obama. So, Newsweek.
Well, this is the thing. There's been criticism that Trump has not filled enough positions. Okay, so if that's a valid criticism, and then you're keeping track of salaries, both things can't be true, right? Either he is saving money by, even if you don't agree with the staffing decision, obviously not having people in positions is saving money, is it not? You're not paying those people. So I guess they would also argue efficiency, that the Obamas were efficient by having more people. So that must be the argument. But when Trump has people, they're just keeping track of the amount of money that it costs taxpayers. That's probably what you're going to come up with.
I'm just saying, like, you're talking about, if you're talking about how Trump has to pay more money, $77 million. I mean, I guess, but what is that compared to, Obama? And in here we find he's at least saved 5.1, and he didn't take the salary.
Well, this and Obama took golf trips as well. Now, if Trump should, if you want to argue Trump shouldn't have said he'll never take a vacation day, he went back on
you know
that
what?
promise.
I'll give you that. That is technically a broken promise.
Yeah, it's a broken promise.
That is an actual broken promise.
Yeah. Promises kept now. Is that where we are?
We're now in promises kept.
Nominate a Supreme Court justice. One of Trump's earliest and clearest victories was nominating Neil Gorsuch as a Supreme Court justice. He vowed to appoint a conservative justice, one who would respect the Second Amendment and make good on that promise by April. The Republican-controlled Senate declined to consider Obama's pick for the open slot, Merrick Garland, for a record-breaking 293 days, and the seat remained open for Trump's nominee. So I guess they're trying to act as if the only reason that he got his guy in is because the Republicans did something unethical.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck. The fact is, one of the things that Trump said he would do, and this was why 2016 was such an important year, because there's a lot of old Supreme Court justices. There's at least one other one who's probably gonna be replaced within Trump's presidency. So that was a big deal. and Gorsuch, it depends on, you can like Gorsuch, you can dislike the pick, but the fact of the matter is he appointed the type of person that he said he was going to appoint. So, in terms of campaign promise, there you go.
Yeah.
Withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement.
Trump withdrew from the international agreement on June 1st after claiming that climate change was a hoax during his candidacy. He promised to remove the U.S. from what he saw as a stifling agreement that restricted American economic growth. Today, the U.S. is the only nation in the world that is not part of the climate deal.
Yeah, because the deal's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
It is complete bullshit, and if you looked at it really on a tertiary level, like you just took a fucking glance, you would see how incredibly unfair and how economically devastating the deal is for a country like the United States. It's not good for us in any way. China and India, who are pretty much the largest polluters on the planet, are held to no standards under this deal. We are. And they already have no standards, so when it comes to coal, for example, or steel, they can just have people die and just dump enormous amounts of carbon dioxide and all kinds of pollutants into the sky and wag their finger at the United States under this deal. Fuck that. And fuck the Paris Climate Agreement. And fuck, by the way, everybody who acts like this is going to destroy the environment. No, it's not. It really is not. Now, if you renegotiate this deal, this agreement, so that it forces China and India to play by the same rules, then we could talk about that.
Oh, they'll never do that, though.
But of course they won't do that, so fuck it. And fucking A, he promises, A+, good on Trump.
Reduce environmental regulations, DAPL on Keystone. In the initial days of his presidency, Trump made good on his promise to revive the Keystone and Dakota Access pipelines. He had promised to roll back regulations on environmental policies with the goal of improving economic opportunities. Trump said the pipelines had no impact on the environment and could create jobs for Americans, though the Environmental Protection Agency has disputed that.
Well, I mean, this was another thing he promised, was to get DAPL and Keystone through. He did it. Again, you can disagree, but if you're looking at this from the objective, did he do what he said he was going to do? There it is.
This wasn't on my list at all, but this is on the list of his campaign promises. This would also be something that would be considered on the list of his supporters that they would view as a positive. That's basically my position.
It is going to bring jobs and wealth into the United States. So yeah. I think that it's a win. And you can, disagree with it and think it's environmentally unfriendly. I really got to say, guys, though, you need to look at the shit that happens literally in India, but in China and India, of how much they pollute the environment. And if you want to lose your minds over America being such a huge polluter, you know what? This is interesting. Iceland, okay, is technically the cleanest country on the planet in that all of their energy is provided through geothermal heat. So they don't have coal burning plants. They don't have anything like that. All of their energy is provided by because it's on a volcano. The island is. However, Iceland is also the country with the highest cars per person ratio on the planet. They don't give a fuck. No one says shit to Icelanders. And it's lucky, I guess, that they have that geothermal energy, but unfortunately, we're not all living on fucking volcanoes. And, hydroelectric energy has certain limitations in that there's only so much hydro energy we can sap. And it's the same thing with wind, and it's the same thing with solar. So until we accept that nuclear is, at this point, our best, most efficient, and safest, and cleanest option, if you're not going to accept nuclear, because you know that they don't want to, because my Chernobyl, which is or my Fukushima, fuck off. I did see a Streamlabs. Then you're gonna have to accept this. Sorry, you're gonna have to accept oil. You're gonna have to accept coal. You're gonna have to accept natural gas. Sorry. I did see a Streamlabs. Let me. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we've got a couple, so I'll read these real quick. Gabriel Lopez algorithm lithograms. Excuse me.
Yeah, that must be an old school hard bastard viewer.
Yeah. Lithograms, good times. Yes. What did you get wrong today? What? Or you didn't get wrong.
No, the other day I said something the other day. Yesterday, I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember. There was something earlier. Oh well. Ministry of Wrongthink. What are your thoughts on 4chan's Q clearance? I'm waiting to see a little bit more about. It looks like there might be some validity to it. I'll weird shit. Sometimes shit that happens on poll seems legit, and very often it does end up being legit, but I'm waiting for further confirmation on some of that stuff. Thank you, Ministry of Wrongthink. And Crazy Ace King, Chinese coal is like Chinese food. They produce a lot of it, though you probably don't want to know how they made it. Very much so, considering how many Chinese people die in the production of and the mining of coal. Is really fucked up. My dudes. Okay, so he did what he said he was going to do.
Crackdown on immigration, another famous promise from Trump's days as a candidate. He repeatedly said that all undocumented immigrants have to go. He reduced his promise from deporting all 11.3 million undocumented immigrants to deporting only those with criminal records, which is closer to 800,000 800,000 people. ICE raids have ramped up, but the most notable effort to reduce the number of immigrants was by ending the DACA program. The program protects young immigrants called Dreamers from deportation, is currently being negotiated in Congress. My take on...
I might want to go to the Breitbart article, but go ahead, yeah. After this, I mean.
My take on this is I agree with going after criminals first, and you're always going to have the unfortunate situation where there's people who are not criminals that get caught up in these sweeps that are still in the country illegally. I understand the idea of saying, well, you should let them go because of whatever reason. I get that. The problem is the signal and message that sends is one of weakness, that we're not going to enforce our border and you can just come into the country illegally. So you just can't do that. You can't have that happen. It's unfortunate collateral damage, basically. And I guess now for DACA, you have the Breitbart article.
They go over some things that they were upset about.
Okay.
Because now, I think that we remember now, because when did this happen? About a month and a half ago, the DACA shit.
Yeah.
There were a lot of Trump supporters that were very, very upset that he was going to be like, the Dreamers can stay, you know? Mm-hmm. To me, what that was is Trump knew this tax bill was coming up, and the GOP was not playing ball. These GOP cucks were not willing to deal with them. So he said, you know what? I'll go play ball with someone who will. So maybe I have to make some concessions. And if that means keeping the Dreamers, which, okay, I do understand this. You did not have any choice in committing this crime. Your parents committed the crime. I don't like it, but they themselves are not...
I don't mind if they keep some of them in. I don't have an issue with that.
What I have a problem with is when it's like, well, we have to keep them and their families.
Yeah, no.
No, that's not okay. Your parents committed a fucking crime by coming here illegally.
If they're, because of the problem in the past, if there is a certain group that amnesty, as long as that amnesty is done in a way that is decisive and it's clear that it'll never happen again, and you're very serious about controlling the border, then I don't have an issue with it. If you do it the wrong way, though, it's going to be it's going to fuck up the problem even more. So,
yeah, I think if he needs to make it's so funny. Was it Pelosi that they were screeching at? That it's like, you don't want to just keep...
Yes.
Right?
They want they wanted everyone.
Me and my parents
everyone,
and my uncle and everyone that I'm even slightly related to has to be able to come here. No, fuck that.
That's crazy.
And I do think if they deport their parents, which we should do, your parents committed a fucking crime, and deport them, I think a large percentage, of the so-called Dreamers, which I hate this. They always come up with these acronyms that are, when there's a clear priming or framing intent of trying to make something look good or bad, there's a clear intent with the term Dreamer. I think a lot of them would leave because they'd have to go back with their parents. Mm-hmm. They don't have the ability to probably support themselves, and we could talk about it. Let's since this is the last one, then we'll finish off.
Renegotiate trade deals, NAFTA and TPP. Trump called both NAFTA and the TPP a disaster, and he signed an executive order in his first few days that withdrew the U.S. from the TPP, an international agreement designed to foster business ties across 12 nations. He still pledges a renegotiation of NAFTA, and the next round of negotiations is scheduled for later this month. So this is something...
A+.
This was not on my list.
What's for me?
This is on the list of a lot lot of supporters. This was a campaign promise. He did it. So yeah, this is an A+ on that side. For me, I don't have a grade for it because it wasn't on my list. This wasn't an issue for me.
Look, there's a nice picture of Hitler right here.
What? We can guess your education level with only 10 history. That doesn't make sense. And why is Hitler on there?
Why is Hitler? Oh, it's clickbait. Well, you know why Hitler's there. Let's, okay, so, I've been criticized a lot for, and I very rarely, first of all, if you guys know me, I very fucking rarely even cite news articles. If I do, it's to usually provide an example of something. I don't use a lot, but I have been criticized. I have had people tell me that citing Breitbart is the same as citing the Daily Stormer, which is insanity. Citing Breitbart is not the same as citing the Daily Stormer.
Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me.
So when was this published?
It might be because of that fucked up BuzzFeed article.
Oh no, now
this
it's
was
frozen.
published.
Oh no.
No, it'll respond probably in a minute.
Okay. Okay.
There it is.
August. So it's not too old. This is not too old. But this is basically like, I thought this would be a good article to look at just because I was trying to think of like things I had an issue with Trump. The Syria one was a big one for me. I know DACA was a big issue for other people. To me, I said, I looked at what was happening there and said, this is already the deal. This is him trying to make him trying to negotiate. Geez, it does not like this Breitbart article. I don't know. Whatever, at first they're just bitching here about how people were mean to Breitbart, essentially. Well, if it can... Alright. So, well, I gotta go down a little bit. People, well, you're being mean to Breitbart. Anyway, there are some good things in this article that I think are important to bring up as criticisms of Trump. That legitimate ones, not bullshit ones, because I think some of the things we went over in that Newsweek article were... Yeah,
clearly bullshit.
Bullshit. Trump okays DACA's amnesty. This is a case of heart.
When Trump said that those who received President Barack Obama's executive amnesty can rest easy because this is a case of heart, Breitbart News reporter Neil Monroe wrote, the Friday comments confirmed Trump's reversal of his 2016 campaign promise to stop the DACA quasi-amnesty created by Obama during his 2012 re-election campaign. He created the program in 2012 by telling his immigration enforcement officers to provide young illegals with free work permits instead of repatriation orders. The program has allowed at least 770,000 illegal immigrants to find jobs in major U.S. cities, even though tens of millions of Americans outside the cities are unemployed or have given up trying to find work. Since his inauguration, Trump's deputies at the Department of Homeland Security have awarded new work permits to illegals who claim they arrived before age 16, despite Trump's Buy American, High American slogan. Trump's support for the DACA program is one of the biggest flip-flops, said Mark Krikorian, director of the Center for Immigration Studies.
Again, I think we can argue what this was about. But I think that for a lot of Trump supporters, yeah, the DACA thing was a big issue. It looked like he was flip-flopping. I think I saw it as a tactical move. But, and yeah, what the fuck's going on the right-hand side of the screen? It's...
Yeah, Marianne looks like she's sucking a dick, but it can't be a dick. It's something. It's like it's a popsicle.
Okay, well, it's a little bit lewd.
It's a lewd popsicle.
Also, I was asked a question by Sinatra. Which one would you fuck out of these two? If you now you're gonna fuck, you're fucking...
This is a forcing?
No, okay, no, all right, okay, so you're going to fuck...
You're fucking both of them at the same time.
Okay, hang on. You're fucking the conjoined twins, all right? But which one do you make out with?
Oh my.
Well, the one I said,
I guess you got to make out with both of them to be polite.
No. What if one doesn't like it? You fucking rapist.
Well,
only one of them likes it.
I guess you put your Nintendo Switch screen up in front of her face or something. I don't know. What would you do in that case?
Well, I said the one whose head's looking up, not the one whose head's looking down, because I felt like she looked sadder. And like it would be kind of like, you know?
Yeah, I guess you gotta...
The one, I don't like the left one.
Put a blindfold on or something?
Well, I mean, yeah, what do you do? Like, does she just... I mean, I don't know. See, this is a difficult question. This is a hard question. And what does the other one do while it's happening?
Does she like to read? I don't know. She read book and give her a book or something.
mean, that Tom Segura bit was that she gives pointers on sucking dick.
Yeah.
She coaches the other one.
Well, that would be interesting. Maybe she dirty talks.
Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah. Oh, that would be interesting. So that way you get the the dick suck.
That's a wild experience.
And the advantage of also having the dirty talk at the same time.
That's a wild experience. Wild.
What the fuck is this? I'm so sorry I got distracted. Trump Latino advisor. POTUS wants to preserve Obama executive amnesty. DACA people have nothing to worry about. This is more DACA shit. I don't even know if we should go over it more, but it's another case where Breitbart apparently was not happy with Trump. We know none of them were happy over this DACA shit. Again, to me, it was, you gotta make concessions.
I'm fine. See, this is the problem
just skip this again.
With some of this, is that it hasn't been resolved yet. So,
right, that's true.
Like, okay, so if Trump gives anyone amnesty, I would give him a lower grade based on the Trump supporter list, but not on my own list. I would only give him bad marks for amnesty if he did it in a manner that wasn't strong, that it did it in a manner where, like, it wasn't clear and decisive. This is going to be the only time we do this, and we are enforcing the fuck out of our border. So how do you really give a grade on that? This is a to be determined, although I guess his supporters that are 100% anti amnesty under any circumstances, I guess, would give him a poor grade for even considering this. I would argue, though, with those people, is wouldn't you want a president that at least negotiates, and wouldn't you want to at least see what he does, that maybe he threw this out to see if he could negotiate, and maybe he ultimately won't do it? I don't know.
Right, no, that's how I feel about it. Yeah. I mean, you know, I like to think I'm a little bit more reasonable on shit. And also, look, we voted for the guy who wrote Art of the Deal. That's what I expected. He said, you're voting, if you vote for me, you want to put a fucking businessman in charge of the country, and I'm going to run the country like I run a business. Mm-hmm. Now, Trump has had many bankruptcies.
Sure.
But he's used them to his advantage. So, he's very good at taking a loss and turning it into a win. Mm-hmm. In a way. So when I see him do something like this, yeah, it's like, okay, I'm not sure how much of this is... I don't see it as flip-flopping yet because we don't know yet. It's not settled. Mm-hmm.
So this is 3. Trump quietly continues Obama's catch and release at the border. Breitbart Texas editor Brandon Darby wrote, President Donald J. Trump is allowing former President Barack Obama's catch and release of illegal immigrants to continue deep into his administration term with no end in sight to the controversial open borders protocol. Border Patrol agents are once again sounding the alarm and alerting the public about the separation between D.C.'s rhetoric and the realities on the U.S.-Mexico border, a practice that the agents hoped would become unnecessary under the Trump administration. So
this is fucked.
Are we talking about catching and releasing into the United States or releasing back into Mexico?
I don't actually know. So let's actually real quick. Should we look at the article?
Look at this. Let me see. No.
Open Borders Protocol. If they're releasing them into Mexico, I don't have an issue with that.
I don't see what other move.
What else can you do? I don't want them here. So.
Oh, into U.S. communities.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's fucked. Then this is officially fucked, and I don't agree with this at all.
Yeah, that's a horrible program, and I would give that's an F. That's an F on both lists for me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So that's an F.
That's a hard F.
So that reduces my border security A grade to a B minus.
Yeah.
And what is it? A plus on the Trump list. So then I guess to a B.
Yeah, I would say that's... I remember reading this the other day, and yes, now that that's confirmed, that is releasing them back into their sanctuary cities.
Yeah,
that's fucked up. That's not okay. That needs to be addressed. That really needs to be addressed. Okay, so the border wall behind Seattle, whatever. We've talked about that too. We've talked about that. This is another thing that is a little bit more about the border security shit.
Breitbart News calls out Trump's administration for printing additional H-2B visas on July 17th. Breitbart News reporter Neil Monroe wrote, Homeland Defense Secretary John Kelly will print 15,000 additional H-2B visas for foreign blue-collar workers in 2017, according to a statement from the agency. The decision was forced by GOP leaders in Congress and is a betrayal of President Trump's campaign promise to deliver blue-collar jobs to Americans, says one opponent of the wage-cutting program. The decision was forced by GOP leaders in Congress. For whatever reason, they put that twice.
Yeah.
Okay, did he run on getting rid of this program? I'm not necessarily opposed to this program. I think the issue is how many people that you bring in.
I'm not inherently against it. I'm against it when it's taking jobs from Americans.
Right, yeah, me too.
But that becomes a very difficult situation, because then you end up in this, well, Americans don't want these jobs, but then they can't get them either.
It's 15,000. That's not a lot.
15,000's not, that's also not a ton. I would prefer we mostly import, if we're going to import workers, we prioritize, which is what Trump has also done. We haven't talked about that. Trump wants to, he said this, that he wants to prioritize skilled workers. I agree completely. I have no problem with skilled workers coming into work in this country or move here. I have absolutely no problem with that. The problem is when you import millions of illiterate, unskilled workers who do not contribute anything that's unique to the country, other than, by the way, being paid wages. Because that's the whole thing. If you saw this, I'm sure you did, after the crackdown started, and we're getting rid of our sanctuary cities. How will California produce any goods if the farmers can't pay their illegal migrant employees a penny a day, or $1 a day, or whatever it is? Mm-hmm. These incredibly low wages where they're essentially indentured servants.
Yeah.
And I have such an issue with that because, by the way, I support human rights, and I think that's incredibly awful to do to someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, sorry, if you think it's okay to pay people slave wages, well, I guess keep these people. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if these people are they're here legally, they have a visa. If they decide to come here, they do work that is required or needed. I don't have a problem with it personally.
I would say this is probably like the more strict Trump supporters would be upset about this, but overall, I don't have an issue with this.
Right.
What else do they have? Is this it? Or there's two more.
Border wall.
We already talked about that. That's again for the more strict ones.
Okay, this is the
That's funny. They have this same thing over
it's the same shit.
Newsweek. That's funny.
And the Independent, because I don't know if there's anything more we want to talk about really outside of these, but let's definitely not. Well, this is still, we're working on this.
Yeah, Obamacare did that.
Yeah, did that too. Bill is a gift to illegal aliens. Well, it's not. Who knows yet? We'll see. Yeah. Again, this is so much of this is up in the air. We can't. Now, this was interesting. I think a little bit. Education
Secretary Betsy DeVos. There isn't really any Common Core anymore in schools. In April, Breitbart News reported, U.S. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos said Monday during an interview on Fox News America's Newsroom that there really isn't any Common Core anymore in the country's schools. The secretary's comments came in sharp contrast to President Donald Trump's statement at a CEO business town hall several weeks ago. During that meeting, Trump returned to his campaign promise to end Common Core standards and once again make education policy the domain of state and local governments. This really isn't on my list. I don't know how many Trump supporters.
Education is a major thing for me. Yeah. Well, for me, it's a big thing because, I'm highly invested in education on every level. So, if you're mad about the term slave wages, near slave wages, indentured servitude is what I called it. So.
They are slave wages, but whatever.
Well, because technically if you're paid wages, you're not a slave, but okay.
Okay.
So it's enough for you to live in a house, because technically slaves were paid in that they were allowed to live in homes and given food. So that's what I mean by slave wages, if you got an issue with the term. So, I haven't seen as much movement on the getting rid of Common Core, and if she really, I'm sure she did, so that there isn't any Common Core, we haven't seen that gotten rid of. We also haven't, it looks like, I think Trump did just sign an executive order to increase funding for, trade programs, which I very much support. I'm an enormous supporter of trade programs because, frankly, people go to college who should not be in college and have no reason to go. But I wouldn't say, for me, the education shit, Well, there's one more, so let's do the other education one, I guess. How long is this? Oh, it's just this, and then there's some bonus thing.
Local control states grumble at Trump's Education Department's criticism of educational plans. U.S. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos has touted a move toward the end of federal control of education, but more states are finding the Trump Education Department, much like the former President Obama's, is still attempting to control their decisions from Washington, D.C.
See, I don't know. I mean, that's a kind of vague statement. Common Core is awful. If you guys know anything about it, I've made a video about it, at least one. There are a lot of problems with Common Core. I want to see it removed. I want to see a lot of federal programs removed and really have education control go back to a more state level and really allow, I mean, I don't know, don't teach fucking Scientology in schools, but there's some, like, basic restrictions on what the fuck you can teach in terms of not teaching insanity. But, and I'm open a little bit on that. I don't know. We've never talked about what's your opinion on people teaching, I don't think, like, if you want to teach creationism, that's okay, but you have to teach evolution as well.
I would rather creationism not be taught at all because I don't see what basis they have. I believe in the separation of church and state, and there's no creationism I'm aware of that isn't based on some sort of holy text.
That's very true. My only thing is that if a local government really wants to do that, I struggle with it because it's a question I don't know the answer to. If a local government really wants to include that in their curriculum, I don't know if I would say they can't do it. I don't agree with. I'm obviously not a creationist nor a Christian, but
yeah. So then the question is, where do you draw the line then? Because then you could argue that the Nation of Islam, different from Islam, the Nation of Islam could argue. Although I don't know, I think it's similar. Whether it's Jacob or God rubbing the back of Adam is how man was created. I mean, where do you draw the line between creationism and that? It's basically the same bullshit. Nonsensical fairy tale crazy shit that is not provable. So that's a complicated debate. I'm also not the best person to talk about religion for because I'm basically against it.
Well, look,
so if it even smells of religion, I did not
have the obvious. I obviously did not have the background and the same situation that you did regarding religion, but I was also very much mistreated by Christians.
Sure.
So I was certainly no fan of Christianity for a very long time, and I'm still not a cheerleader for it. It's just that I don't know. See, I have no problem with Catholic schools, and I have no problem with private education being able to do that shit. If they're private, they should do whatever they want.
Certainly.
Yeah, maybe so. Public, you're right. Separation of church and state in public schools is correct. However, private schools,
you get to do whatever you want.
Okay, and I think that's really it for this article. And I think, we've been going for an hour and a half.
Yeah, so the final grade.
Should we just try to, I don't know what else is in this independent article.
I think we've covered mostly everything. So, okay, my final grade, my own personal grade, there's some negatives that are not covered.
Oh, do you want to do the LGBT, the trans ban in the military just real quick? I just don't care. I think there's really good reasons for it.
But was that even a campaign promise?
No, it wasn't a campaign promise. It has nothing. It's just that, I don't know. Some people might, if he said he was I don't really think he ever said it this way. By the way, independent. I don't think he said he was gonna. Okay, he said he was gonna fight for you. Okay, but the trans ban in the military is a monetary thing and a logistics thing. Now, if you want to say trans people can serve in non-combatant roles, I would be like, okay. But if you look into this, people who are trans have to take hormones every day. If you're a trans woman, you do have to dilate your artificial vagina, usually about once a week, and that can take up to an hour. These are things that kind of blow. And it also means that if you don't have access to hormones, it can totally fuck up your system. I think also the thing is that it's a little bit crazy to, I at least think it's a little bit absurd to, look, if being transgender, if having gender dysphoria is a mental disorder, then like any other mental disorder, you are restricted from military service. If it's not a mental disorder, and you're allowed into the military, then getting gender reassignment surgery is therefore elective and not required and not covered under the vast majority of VA procedures and insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to pick one. And I think the easiest way to go about it is just say, nah. Because it's a shit show, isn't it?
I think if you've created a system that gives people an incentive to join the military to have medical procedures, that's not good. So that has to be resolved. I'm still waiting for someone to show me a group of people who have a medical condition that requires daily medication that is considered battle ready or able to. Right. And so far, I haven't seen one. So if someone does have an example of that, then I would be more. Then I would say then obviously Trump is being unreasonable. But until someone presents me with that, I think my position stands. The decertifying the Iran nuclear deal, he achieved that. That's a positive.
Sure.
I would say both on my list and Trump's list.
Still to do. We just talked about how the economy was doing really well. Now, of course, here they're attributing it to Obama, as we talked about in the beginning. So whatever. I think we've. Oh, there's that fucking twins again.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've been over the vast majority of things that have happened over the last 9. The big issues.
Yeah. So my negatives, there's negatives that are not on that we haven't talked about that I would, if you're asking me personally about a president, because like my view of politics is they're basically bullshit. I do like talking about them, but I want a president. If you're asking me personally, this is different than the list that I hold for the Trump supporters. Like, I want a president to immediately come out and make weed legal. So I that's a negative for me. Now, certainly he didn't run on that, and I acknowledge that. My overall grade, it was a C- until I read about the potential for Scientology to lose their tax exempt status. So my overall grade for Trump is a C. The two major things are not being at war with Russia, which he's achieved. There's not a no-fly zone in Syria. I didn't like the bombing of the Syrian airfield, but it didn't seem to go past that. I like what he's doing with terrorism. I like what he's doing with ISIS. I like what he's doing with the border. My overall grade is a C. For his supporters, and when I say supporter, I don't mean like, obviously any one of his supporters can give his own grade. What I mean by when I'm talking about supporters, I mean like what we saw in the debate with Razorfist and Kyle, that I think it's reasonable to have a metric to judge a president by. So if you're going to judge the president on the metric of campaign promises for his supporters, I'd give him like a B+.
Yeah. By the metric of campaign promises, I'd say a solid B+. B+. Yeah. I won't do the A. I won't go the full A. We did not talk about weed at all, but that was not a campaign promise. I'm just a little bit. He had implied that it was going to go to the states. It looks like that's stonewall.
So there's the other negative of Jeff Sessions.
Yes.
Jeff Sessions, like, I haven't really discussed my personal negatives that much, but like I said, the weed is one. The Jeff Sessions with the program to give police departments military equipment, I hate that shit. Jeff Sessions' view on weed, Jeff Sessions potentially
so we both have an equal issue with Jeff Sessions.
Massive negative.
Those are not even all the issues I have with Jeff Sessions.
Civil asset forfeiture, massive negative.
I'm not a fan. Yeah. I've never been a fan of Jeff Sessions. Okay. So, seems like we've got there's an issue with Jeff Sessions more than Trump, though. But they're inexorable a little bit.
if you had a person in Sessions' position that was pro-weed, do you think Trump would be purposely fighting against him? I don't think so. I think Trump would go along with whatever the person he put in that position would do.
Yeah. Sessions was a strategic choice, and I think that it's difficult to get rid of him now.
Yeah.
Trump's already gone through so many people in his cabinet and in his administration.
I don't think he's going to get rid of Sessions.
And unfortunately, I'm not a fan of I am no fan of Sessions whatsoever. So that is, for me, I have to give a different, okay. From a Trump supporter viewpoint, I will give him a B plus, A minus line. Okay, so far so good. From what's actually happened, and from trying to be a little as objective as possible, which is impossible, but as I can be, C plus, B minus.
The other thing,
which is what I gave him at the 100 days review.
Sure. Now, one of the positives that we didn't really discuss that's on my personal list is how he goes after the media and doesn't give a fuck about political correctness, doesn't give a fuck. He'll fight back. If people attack him, he'll fight back. He talks shit on Twitter. All of that shit I like. That's me personally. I realize it's not presidential and all that. I don't care about that.
But I put that under my Trump supporter thing, because it's impossible for me to... Like I said, I started out as a Trump supporter because I just thought he was hilarious. I was like, holy shit, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. You were literally turning politics into a reality show, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. And that goes, if I included that, I'd be more likely to give him the A minus than the B plus. There's just his level of no fucks given. Anyway, so I'm gonna give him a solid B to combine my two scores. I'm gonna give him a solid B. Right in the middle, 85.
Yeah,
I'm pretty happy so far.
I go for
some disappointments.
Like a president keeping campaign promises, B plus. My own personal C.
Okay.
And yeah, I think a lot of this shit's to be determined. So that grade could go up or down depending on what happens as his presidency continues.
And I think that, but it's interesting, we start out by talking about how we have different reasons.
Sure.
We had different reasons for voting for Trump or supporting him. Such as it were. And, we got different scores because we have different perspectives.
Also, obviously, if he locks up Hillary Clinton, my grade shoots to an A.
It's
immediate A. Legalize weed or prosecute Hillary Clinton, we're in A-town.
Preferably both,
yeah,
but yeah.
Absolutely.
Before we close out, let me see if there's any more. I think there's one more. There's...
The conjoined twins.
Yeah. There's one more... not super chat, what do you call these? Streamlabs. From Crazy Ace King, thank you. Question about the Hensel twins. If one dies, does the other die at the same time, or do they live until the dead twins' blood poisons them? There's an episode of the X-Files called Humbug. Yeah, wow, Jesus, I really know the X-Files. Which is about people who live in a town that used to be essentially like run by the Barnum and Bailey Circus, I think. No, it was P.T. Barnum, I think. And there's a story about that in there where like one conjoined twin wakes up and his brother is dead, and then he dies of fear almost immediately after. I don't know. That's not even a real thing. That's an example from a television show. But that's all I know about that. Probably, I don't know, would you die of fear or just die from, because the blood poisoning will kill you? I don't know. They probably do they share a heart? How did the one die?
I think it depends on each like conjoined twin and how
they die.
Right, and like what do they share, what do they not share?
Okay. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for showing up to the stream on a completely different channel. I don't know. Again, I don't know if I'll be using this channel again. It will be here. I think what I might use it as is a bit of a backup, just to like post some videos if for some reason they need to be reposted. I mean, that's why it's the vault, I guess. If not, I will try to make this a primary streaming channel, I guess, or not. You said I shouldn't do that, right?
Yeah, but that's a whole...
Okay, it's a whole fucking thing.
We'll figure it
out.
Whatever.
It's a whole fucking thing. So, thank you guys for joining us. Are you going to do your...
Monday. New stream on Monday.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. As always, thank you for showing up and for all of these Streamlabs. I very much appreciate it. Take care.
Bye.
On a Vault.